The Galactic Naval Academy's testing facility hummed with the quiet efficiency that characterized all Zenthari architecture. Commander Velthar stood before the assembled cadets, her four eyes scanning the diverse species that represented the finest military prospects from across 17 star systems. Methane breathers stood alongside silicon-based life forms, while photosynthetic chlorins mingled with the insectoid Vrax. And there, standing awkwardly near the back, was the human. Cadet Marcus Chen looked profoundly out of place among his fellow recruits. While others possessed natural armor plating, bioelectric capabilities, or regenerative tissues, the human seemed almost fragile in comparison. Velthar had reviewed his file with skepticism. Earth was a recent addition to the Galactic Coalition, and humans had yet to prove themselves worthy of the prestige associated with the Academy. Today, Velthar announced, her translator rendering her clicks and whistles into universal speech, you will undergo the Reflex Assessment Protocol. Combat in space happens in microseconds. Your ability to react can mean the difference between survival and obliteration. She gestured toward the sleek machine dominating the center of the room. The RAP 7000 was a marvel of engineering, capable of measuring neural response times down to the picosecond. It had tested millions of cadets across 3 centuries, compiling data on every known sentient species in the galaxy. The current record, Velthar continued, is held by Cadet Zixrath of the Vrax Hive. 0.073 seconds from stimulus to response. The average for most species falls between 0.15 and 0.3 seconds. Anything below 0.2 is considered exceptional. The cadets filed forward one by one. Each entered the testing chamber, a cylindrical room lined with holographic projectors and motion sensors. Random threats would appear: incoming projectiles, hostile ships, environmental hazards, and the cadet's task was simple: react and neutralize. A Chloran cadet emerged with a respectable 0.9 seconds. A Dravian achieved 0.16. When the Vrax cadet, Zixrath's nest sister, completed her run with 0.078 seconds, a chittering sound of approval rippled through the crowd. Then it was Marcus Chen's turn. The human walked forward with an easy gait that Velthar found almost insulting in its casualness. He wore the standard Academy jumpsuit, and she noted that his hands were empty. No enhancement gloves, no neural accelerators, none of the performance aids that regulations permitted. Cadet Chen, Velthar said, her tone clipped. Are you prepared? Yes, ma'am, Marcus replied, his voice carrying that peculiar flat affect that humans used when addressing superiors. You may begin when ready. Marcus stepped into the chamber. The door sealed with a hiss. Through the transparent aluminum walls, the other cadets watched as the lights dimmed and the first simulation began. What happened next would be discussed in Academy halls for generations. The holographic threats materialized at random intervals, appearing from impossible angles. Standard protocol called for 30 threats over a 60-second period. Marcus moved before the first projectile had fully formed, his hand slapping the emergency materialization of a training weapon from the wall dispenser. He fired, pivoted, fired again. His body flowed like water, each movement precise and economical. Where other species relied on single exceptional traits, the Vrax's compound eyes, the Dravian's predictive neural clusters, the human seemed to employ his entire being as a unified weapon. Velthar's eyes widened as the readouts began scrolling across her datapad. 0.41 seconds, Corno 38 seconds, 0.043 seconds. The numbers were impossible. They had to be. Inside the chamber, Marcus had entered what his species called the zone. His heart rate had actually decreased, his breathing steady and controlled. Adrenaline flooded his system, that curious Earth-evolved hormone that turned humans into something beyond their baseline capabilities. His pupils dilated, his perception of time stretched, and the ancient predator that lurked in every human's DNA emerged. The simulation accelerated, doubling its threat rate, then tripling it. The machine's programming, detecting the anomalous performance, automatically escalated to stress test the subject. Threats came from every direction simultaneously. Marcus didn't slow down. His movements became almost precognitive. He wasn't just reacting. He was predicting, his pattern recognition software, his brain, calculating trajectories and probabilities faster than the machine could generate them. Then at the 47-second mark, something unprecedented occurred. The RAP 7000 emitted a high-pitched whine. Smoke began curling from its processing units. The holographic projectors flickered, struggled, and died. Emergency lights bathed the chamber in red. Marcus lowered his weapon, looking around in confusion as the door unsealed. He stepped out, slightly winded but otherwise unharmed, and addressed Commander Velthar with genuine concern in his voice. "Was that fast enough?" The testing bay fell silent. Every cadet, every instructor, every monitoring VI stood frozen. Velthar's translator struggled to process the question, as if the words themselves defied logic. "Cadet Chen," she finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. You broke the machine." "Oh." Marcus looked genuinely apologetic. "Sorry about that. Should I pay for repairs or—" Velthar looked at her datapad where the final recorded measurement blinked in disbelief. 0.021 seconds. And that was before the machine had failed, unable to keep pace with the human's impossible reaction speed. "How?" Velthar asked. It wasn't really a proper question, but nothing about this situation was proper. Marcus shrugged. A gesture that his file had indicated meant uncertainty or casual dismissal. "Just reflexes, I guess. We had to be pretty quick back on Earth. Lots of things trying to kill us for most of our evolution. Predators, prey that fought back, other humans, natural disasters, diseases." He trailed off, as if this explanation was self-evident. A Cloran cadet voiced what everyone was thinking. "Your entire species evolved under constant threat of death." "Well, yeah," Marcus said. "I mean, doesn't everyone?" The answer, Velthar realized with a chill running through her thorax, was no. Most species evolved on worlds with relatively stable ecosystems, where intelligence was selected for slowly, peacefully. But Earth, violent, death world Earth, had forged its dominant species in a crucible of perpetual survival pressure. Humans weren't just quick. They were survivors shaped by a planet that had spent millions of years trying to kill them, and they had won. Velthar made a note in Marcus Chen's file, flagging it for immediate review by the Academy Board. Then she looked at the human, really looked at him, and saw not a fragile creature out of place among giants, but an apex predator wearing a friendly face. "Cadet Chen," she said slowly, "I believe you'll do just fine here." Marcus smiled, that peculiar baring of teeth that humans use to indicate pleasure, and Velthar felt another chill. The galaxy, she reflected, had no idea what it had just welcomed into its ranks.